What's going on? It's Coach T. This is another one of the quick code videos for Python. If you like this type of short form thing where I go headfirst at one particular topic in Python and try to support adolescent or adult learners, like myself, I'm an adult learner, in order to help you get up to speed with coding or maybe get over a hurdle that you've run into, consider subscribing or dropping a like or one of those doodads, because I'm going to be going through many of the foundational topics in Python and maybe even C# at some point, because I'm learning by teaching, and I'm hoping that that supports somebody and that it makes your life a little bit easier. In this video, which I'm trying to keep at 8 minutes or below, we are going to look at the differences between positional and keyword parameters in Python. I didn't have time to get in this in my original video, but I did want to actually pause and take a look at them because there's some trickiness to them, and it could throw a beginner learner like myself a few months ago off. So we have two different types of parameters, positional and keyword parameters. Before I go any deeper into that, let me just remind you of what a parameter is. After we define a function, we give it a name, we have those two parentheses. Anything that we put into the parentheses at that point is a parameter. And basically we're telling Python to be on the lookout for these pieces of data because we're probably going to do something with them. Now, there are different types of these parameters. That's what I mentioned just a second ago. Positional parameters, well, they need to come first in your list of parameters. And that's because Python interprets what goes where based on the order that you provide them. It doesn't actually know, or it doesn't know how to read what that should be. It's entirely reliant on you matching the order in your function call to the definition of the parameters that you're going to have. The other type of parameter that you can have is a keyword parameter. And these, Python doesn't care where they go or what order you put them in, because in your function call, you're going to say, hey, this value goes to this parameter. And so there's no confusion. There's one very big important rule though. Positional parameters have to go before the keyword parameters because of that positional reliance on the order, right? But for keywords, Python doesn't care what order you put them in. So we're going to come back to that concept in just a second. Just as a reminder, not every function needs to have parameters. It's only if you're passing information in to manipulate it or to work on it, or if the function is reliant on that information, that you might list them as parameters. But many times you might have one that just does something and you don't need a parameter listed at all. And that kind of function call would look like function like this. Oops. It would look like that, right? But for friendly function, I've got this one here. I've got 4 different parameters that we're going to push in, and then it will print the value of them. So I've got 2 positional parameters, and I've got 2 keyword parameters. And you may not be able to see the difference in those, but that's because the difference is defined down here. We're going to come back to that in a second because there's also another layer to that. And this is why it bore a second video. It's just got some confusing trickiness to it. So I have my first value is the first one listed, and I thought that would be nice and clear. When I call friendly function down in the actual body of my program, I'm listing that as the string A. For my second parameter, I'm listing that as B. So Python is going to look for the first one listed, look for the second one listed, and then I have the fourth parameter listed here, even though it's out of order with the ones defined up top. And it's going to go, oh, that's a D. Now Python is going to have no issues putting this fourth call up there, or pushing that argument up into the fourth parameter, because I've used the equal assignment operator to say, hey, this belongs to this parameter. Same thing with third. I've said the third is assigned this value. And so if I run my software now, Python is not going to have any issues understanding me. And I can even go like this, right? So it's still going to have the same values, but now I've tied them to a variable that's elsewhere in my program. So it's going to go, where's the first one listed? Okay, that's not a keyword, it's not assigned, it must just be this positional thing. A keyword thing is going to go to the fourth, and then the third keyword, it goes, oh, okay, that's that parameter. And if I print and run, I get A, B, C, D, right? A, B, C, D, just in the order that I was expecting. Now, just to show you some of the confusion that can happen, what if I typed my strings out of order because I was in a rush? Well, Python doesn't know the difference. Whatever is listed first, that's going into the first variable. Let me delete this so it's a little bit clearer what's going on. Where's my PowerShell? Well, okay. I don't want to fight with it right now. So now we have B, A, C, D down here. That is not ideal because now our parameters, our arguments are out of order because the order no longer matches the intended parameter listing. So I would need to figure out a way to fix that and debug that. The way around it could be to use keywords, but this obviously makes the string a heck of a lot longer if I had to type first equals and then second equals. It just gets a little bit verbose, right? It's up to you which way you want to do it. Just remember, positionals have to go first, keywords have to go second, and the order of keywords doesn't matter. Now we can do something else too. I could say third equals bonsai, and I'm giving it a default value, and see right away Python's like, wait a second, we have a default argument up here, we have a keyword argument, I can't have another positional. So if I'm going to do that, I need to have another one that's like kawabunga, right? And these are called default values for your keyword parameters or your name statements. If I don't have anything listed, it will just print those off if I don't pass the values in. So let's go back to first, A and B. And this function call should work if I understand how it works myself, because the defaults just fill in the blanks if necessary. So let's save and push, and there they are, right? Bonsai and Cowabunga. I don't know why I chose those. I've been reading some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I guess. So when you have a default, if you don't provide that information, Python will use whatever's listed as the default. But what if I go third equals X? So I'm going back to that value that I had previously defined, and we'll do Y equals, we'll do fourth equals Y. Well, I'm going to override whatever is in that default slot for now, and I'm going to push this new value defined elsewhere in the software into the function over that default, and I should get ABCD again. ABCD right down here, right? So that's the default status for a keyword parameter. They can be really useful, especially if you don't know what they're going to be, but you know they need to be there. You can put a default in there. Or if you have one that you generally want, but sometimes there's a use case where maybe a user overrides it. You know, it could be default John Doe, but then they type in their name, and now that overrides that default name parameter going into a function with their name. Something like that, right? So those are positional keyword parameters. Important because if you're writing functions, and you should be writing functions to empower your software, empower the solutions you're building for yourself, you need to know the difference between those, and it's an easy area to get washed up on the rocks as a beginner because it's complicated and things start getting connected and it can be hard to pull it apart. So that's it. I'm at just over 9 minutes right now. I'm going to sign off. This is Coach T with another quick code video. If you like them, subscribe for more. I'm going to do more of these to teach myself or to learn by teaching. So I'll see you on the next one.